Hello, everybody. It's Bendominator, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Bendominator Podcast. Today is episode 12 of the Bendominator Podcast, and we have quite a few exciting things to talk about today, actually. But yeah, before we get into the podcast, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new, because I make a podcast every single Monday. And if you want to share the podcast around, feel free as well. We also do viewer questions, which we'll be getting into later. And if you want to, make sure you keep up with that. All the viewer question kind of things are in the community tab. So if you ever want to have your question read on the podcast, be sure to look out on my community tab for when I ask for questions. And you can also join the Discord server as well. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into today's episode. So, the main thing of news for today is that we will finally be getting the 17.20 update tomorrow, and I'm very, very excited about that because we've been waiting about 4 weeks for this update now, and it makes sense. The last update we had was 17.10. That was for the summer update. The Cosmic Summer only lasted about 2 weeks, and now we've been left for another 2 weeks with some really cool patches, I will say. The inflatable has been a very big highlight of this last week in Fortnite. The inflatable was a fantastic addition. I made a video all about that patch a while back as well. Gave us a lot of cool stuff to talk about, and it was just very, very fun. Even with the patches, though, I will say that there's not always a ton of news going around during these times that we don't have updates, but we have been getting more and more news lately with the whole LeBron James crossover, and now again with a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be talking about in today's podcast. And I think we're finally back to the point where I'm able to make a lot more videos a week because there's a lot more to talk about now. Because I've kind of been in a struggle the last few weeks to actually figure out ideas for videos to make because there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff happening in the community for the past 2 weeks, even a bit longer than that, like 3 weeks. So I'm really excited that we're actually getting a lot of stuff to talk about now, and even before this update is released, even before 17.20 is fully out, there's a lot of stuff to discuss, which is very exciting for the podcast and also just for the channel because I love talking about Fortnite stuff, and that's just kind of what this channel lives on, so I always like it when there's stuff to talk about. I'm always hoping there's always stuff to talk about. So not that there's actually a lot of stuff to talk about. Expect a lot more videos from me, because I've only really been uploading 2 videos a week, and some of those videos haven't even been related to anything that's happening now. So I'm very excited to start making more videos. Again, I have some really cool videos planned. I have a specific video that I'm still working on, that I've been working on since last week. It's taken me quite a bit to get done here, but hopefully that's going to be out soon. Just a lot of exciting stuff coming. I got a new capture card, so I'm going to be streaming a lot more. I want to start doing some variety streaming of other games and stuff, along with doing even more Fortnite streams of me just playing solos and stuff, along with also Brim Royale as well. And I'm excited about that as well. Later today, I think I'm going to be fully just reorganizing everything in my setup to make things a lot better for mainly for streaming, just with my whole new capture card setup. A lot of things need to be moved around, so that's exciting, and I'm excited for that. So in terms of content, in terms of the channel, I'm extremely excited for what's to come in the next few weeks, and I can't wait to get back into the groove of things after not having a whole ton of stuff to discuss and talk about with Fortnite. Now is a really good chance to hit the ground running and get back into the swing of things. And yeah, I'm excited. I feel like this Fortnite update is going to be a really big push for content. I'm really hoping that it's going to be a good one. We don't know a lot about it already, but the one thing that we do know is that Booga will be coming to the game. Yes, Booga is getting an icon skin. I'm sure most of you know already. But yeah, we are going to be getting the Booga skin with a tournament as well, which is very, very exciting. Booga's one person that has been thrown around when it comes to the idea of an icon skin for him a little bit, and I wasn't really expecting it for some reason. I don't know why I didn't expect Booga to get one, and I'm not really sure why I didn't. I think I just kind of forgot about Booga because he was very relevant around the World Cup time, and I feel like he hasn't really been talked about in the community that much. I haven't really seen him very active in the community, but I haven't really followed him either on anything, so I don't really keep up to date with him. He hasn't been a content creator or kind of like somebody in the Fortnite community that I've ever really been too interested in. Not because I don't like him, just because I'm not really into the whole competitive side. I of course keep up with it from time to time, but that's not my forte. I'm more on the BR and creative side of things, so I don't really keep up with that kind of stuff as much. But it is really cool to see him getting a skin. The skin itself looks very nice, actually. The pickaxes look great. I really like those. Reminds me of something straight out of Call of Duty. It's really, really cool. And I'm excited. I think this is going to be a really cool addition to the Icon series. And I'm really happy for him. I think he definitely deserves it. He is the winner of the World Championship or World Series that was held in Season 9, I believe. And that's really cool. So I think it's been a long time coming. I'm very happy. I was quite surprised, but like in retrospect, it's really not that surprising. And yeah, I'm excited. So I think it's really cool. I think his set looks great. It's cool to have the kind of World Cup thing as a back bling, like the trophy. I think that's awesome. And it's just very, very cool. Again, still waiting for Cypher PK. I think a lot of people are just waiting on Cypher PK's Icon series. It has to come at some point, dude. He deserves it so much. He's been grinding the game for so long now, and I think it would be really cool to see him get an Icon series as well. But I'm sure he'll get one eventually. And yeah, I think I'm really excited about Booga getting one. I think that's really cool. I always love to see content creators get new Icon series because it's always cool to see like celebrities and sports players and stuff get Icon series skins. But to see content creators get them is really special. I think that those are my favorite Icon series skins, mostly just because of how cool it feels. It's really neat to see a content creator, even if you're not really like involved with them at all, even if you don't really know them that well. I mean, pretty much every single skin in the Icon series, including the ones that I want, I don't really watch their content. I don't watch a lot of Fortnite content, which might be surprising because it's a Fortnite channel, but I don't watch a lot of Fortnite content on YouTube. And so most of the Icon series skins, I really don't watch any of the content from any of those creators at all. I remember I watched a little bit of Lachlan's content back in Chapter 1, of course. Everyone's very familiar with Ninja. The main reason I want Cypher PK to get one is mainly just because, like, he's one of the only people left who hasn't gotten one, and I really respect how much he's grinded out Fortnite. But the thing is, I don't really watch Cypher PK. I don't really watch his content that much. I'm not like a Cypher PK fan. I just think he deserves it because of how hard he's been grinding out content for the game ever since it released, pretty much. And I think it's just super commendable, and I know a lot of people want to see him get one. And also the fact that if he got one, it would probably look really cool. Like, he has like the whole Oni mask thing going on with his marketing and stuff, and I think that would make for a really neat skin. Just generally, just like a red and black skin with like the red lightning and the whole Oni mask thing. I think his like kind of marketing or branding translates to a icon skin really well. I think it would, and that's one of the main reasons I'm excited for him to get one as well. And again, I'm sure Cypher will get one eventually. I think it's pretty much like I don't know why he wouldn't. But of course, these things take time. I'm sure Bugos has been in the works for ages. Um, I don't remember who. I think it might have been with either Laser Beams or Lachlan's. One of them stated how like they started production on the skin, or they contacted them about the skin like a year before it came out, which is kind of crazy. So if Cypher were to get one, he probably already knows about it or will know about it soon. But again, I just hope he gets one. I think it's pretty much inevitable at this point, but there's a chance that it doesn't happen, which is upsetting, but I'm sure it will. Whether or not he's the next one, I don't know. Uh, I'm excited to see whatever the next content creator is after Booga. But it's really, really cool, and I'm excited to see who's next. There's a lot of really cool content creators that definitely deserve it. but yeah, that's just really cool. I'm excited to see what happens with the whole Icon series thing. I think Icon series is a really cool idea ever since they introduced it, and we've been getting some great skins with it as well. Same with the whole LeBron James collab. I think that was really cool. Again, how they split them up into two different skins is a bit iffy for me, but it's not a huge deal. And I think I talked about that even in the last episode of the podcast, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here. But overall, really, really cool stuff. Again, excited for everything that's happening. New update tomorrow. And I'm just excited. I'm generally excited. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about all the Fortnite news that is happening right now. Uh, because I'm just excited about it. I don't know what else to say other than just excited to see what happens. Because in terms of the update tomorrow, we don't really have a lot to go off of. Again, like I said, Bugha's the main thing that they've kind of stated. His tournament's coming. That's all they've said about it. They didn't even leave like any like little things being like this update's gonna have this, this, and this. Which makes me think either that this update's not gonna be that big or it's gonna be huge and there's a lot of stuff they're trying to hide from us and surprise us with. But whether that be the case, the one thing I do know is that we're gonna be getting some cool skin leaks tomorrow, and I'm gonna be making a video on it. So if you guys want to keep up to date with all the new skins that are gonna be leaked out, I will be making a video discussing all my opinions on each of the skins, which I do for pretty much every update that has a sizable amount of skins in the files. And this update should have quite a bit because it's been a while. And I mean, I don't think it'll have more than normal, but it should have quite a few. And I'm excited to get some new skins in the leaks as well. That's one of my favorite things about each update is just seeing what new cosmetics we end up getting. And yeah, a lot of people are also saying Coral Castle might be being destroyed soon. I feel like the thing about that is that we've said that so much, like for every little patch, for every little update, we've said that, and it still hasn't happened yet. I feel like it kind of has to happen tomorrow, and if it doesn't, then maybe it's a scrapped idea. Maybe they don't do it, because it's been hinted at. Well, it hasn't even been hinted at all by Epic. Because we had the whole thing with the UFO going over Coral, but it's not even, from as far as I have seen, it's not over Coral anymore. It's like gone past it, which doesn't mean it's not gonna, it can't still destroy it, but it's weird. I don't really know what the deal is with that. I have a feeling there's a possibility that that may have been scrapped, because just because something's in the files doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Because we have like the whole mesh for all the Coral things being destroyed in the files. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen. Like, they can put something in the files and end up not using it. Which doesn't happen. It's not likely. I will say it's not likely. Most of the time, if something's in the files, it'll probably come to fruition. But I don't know. It's weird because we've even had things like skins in the leaks that haven't come out that are completely scrapped. It's just because something is in the file. I feel like that's a main thing about leaking is that just because something has leaked, just because something's in the files doesn't automatically mean it's gonna happen. And that's kind of how I'm feeling at this point about the Coral thing. I have high hopes that something will happen tomorrow. But if nothing happens with Coral tomorrow, I think I'm just going to put that in the back of my mind and be like, yeah, that's probably scrapped. Because I'm kind of tired of just holding out hope for it to happen. But my main concern is that they're just going to get rid of Coral and not have anything to take its place. And that would be very upsetting. So I hope if they do get rid of Coral, I hope there's something there that is more interesting. But if they just destroy Coral just to destroy it, I don't really see the point. So we'll see what happens again if it does happen. I highly believe it will in tomorrow's update. But if it doesn't happen in tomorrow's update, then I don't know. I think I'm just going to forget about it. And just stop thinking about it at that point. Because it's not worth it. So we'll see what happens. Again, very interested to see if they put something there. Holly Hatchery seems to be done changing, which is very, very interesting. We did get some hints that maybe like Steamy Stacks would change. Again, not really sure about that. We'll just have to wait and see. And then that like whole tilted POI that was in the back of that teaser, or like the main, not even a teaser, literally the main loading screen for this season when you boot up the game. I I hope that's coming in tomorrow's update. I doubt it though. I don't know. It's weird. Because that hasn't been seen in the files at all, which probably means it's like because we're only on the second update is the thing. We're only on the second update of the season. It feels like we should be on like the fourth update of the season, but we're only on the second. So there's a ton of things that still have yet to happen this season. Even though we've had a bunch of patches, all those things were added in the last update or before. There's still a ton of things that they could add in the files for the new update that could happen over the course of the next couple weeks, which is exciting to think about. So, again, we'll just see what happens. A lot of speculation, a lot of just not really sure what's going to happen, especially because the only thing that they said is that the Booga event's happening. That's all they said in the whole when they tweeted about the update being tomorrow. So it's interesting. That's all we know. The only thing we know for sure is that Booga is getting a tournament and he's gonna be a skin. That's all we know. So there's a lot that could happen. There's a lot that could not happen. We'll have to wait and see. And yeah, that's just how it is. So I know it's kind of early in the podcast, but I think I'm going to move it over to a viewer questions. Again, if you guys want to send me any questions for me to look at on the podcast, I always send out a community post asking for questions. So be sure to subscribe if you want to have a chance of having your question read. And also you can join my Discord server to also get those in question of the day as well. And also just chat and have fun. So yeah. So do you think, or this is from Purple Bolt over on YouTube. He says, do you think that Holly Hedges and Coral Castle will be the only POIs that will change this season? And to that, I say no. I think that those will be the main changes, but this might just be wishful thinking, but I really do think that some POI is gonna change into a new city POI. I think we're getting a new city POI this season, mainly just because of that whole wallpaper. Like when you load up the season, you get this wallpaper with all these buildings that aren't on the map. It doesn't necessarily have to be Tilted or Salty Towers, just some city POI, some like old Save the World like city area. I feel like that has to come to the game because why would they put that in the thing? That's been something that I was very disappointed at the start of the season. I wasn't disappointed by a lot of things at the start of the season, but the map, when I went on the map for the first time and found out that that city POI in the background of that image was nowhere to be found, I was very disappointed, and it was very disappointing. And I had so much hype for that when I first saw that loading screen. And not necessarily because I thought it was going to be like Tilted, because I did say like that looks like Tilted. I think most people realized that there were like Tilted buildings in that screenshot. I just wanted some cool new POI, some new city POI. And I want the best case scenario, in my opinion, was if we got like a bigger version of Salty Towers that replaced Bony Burbs. I think that would be the best case scenario. But honestly, I just want something. I just want that actual image, the main promotional image for this season when you boot up the game. I want that to come to fruition. I want that to actually happen. And I don't know why they would even include that, again, in the main promotional image, unless maybe it was scrapped. That's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe due to time constraints or due to a bunch of different stuff they want to add, maybe there was going to be a POI like that and they scrapped it, but they didn't bother to change the image. That's the only thing I can think of, because why wouldn't they just make that image like on an actual POI in the map? It's weird, and it's not just me being like, oh, they're teasing something, conspiracy theory type stuff. I just feel like they showed us something that doesn't exist, and it feels weird. It feels strange, and I know I've been talking about it since the start of the season, but I'm still very disappointed by that, and I really want to see some type of city POI introduced. Especially because that's something I've been wanting ever since Salty Towers got removed, because I loved Salty Towers, and I was like, this is just a really fun, really like high action city POI. It's kind of held back with the sand, but other than that, it's really fun. And they removed it, and now I feel like it's like a mix of me wanting that back and also me really desperately wanting just some really big new POI to explore. And I think a new city POI that replaces Boney would be the perfect thing. I don't care if it's tilted. I don't care if it's a remix version of tilted. I don't care if it's completely new. I just want something. I want something like that. And I think it's strange that they would show or like give us a glimpse of that in a promotional image for the season when it doesn't exist. And I hope that ends up existing at some point. I don't know if it'll be next update. I don't know if it'll be in the season at all. But I just hope it happens. I really want it to, and I think that will be. I think Boney Burbs will probably change into that, or Lazy Lake maybe. I don't know. I think one other POI is gonna change into whatever city POI that is. And yeah, I'm hoping for it. But again, we still got a lot of season left, so we'll see what ends up happening. Omega Royale on YouTube asks, how do you think Coral Castle will be destroyed? Because the UFO is not above it anymore. And yeah, I talked about this earlier in the podcast as well. I don't think it matters that the UFO is over it. I thought that the UFO going over to Coral Castle would be like the teaser to it. I think a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's leading up to it being destroyed. But it looks like it's just moving around, because why not? I don't really know what the payoff for that is. I'm guessing it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, they're doing this, but it's just to kind of have something cool happening. It doesn't actually lead to anything, but that might just be me. They've done a lot of stuff like that, where you think that that like something is leading up to something really cool, and it just doesn't have any payoff to it. I really hope that's not the case, but I don't think like the whole UFO moving around has anything to do with Coral anymore, just because it passed it. Maybe it's leading up to something else, but I don't think the UFO necessarily needs to be above it to destroy it. It could even just get destroyed by IO like agents, just going in and ransacking the place. Or maybe it gets flooded again. It doesn't necessarily have to be because of the UFO. So there's many ways it could get destroyed. I think it's possible, but if it doesn't happen next update, then I'm not really going to put much thought into it after that. I'm not going to completely just be like, oh, this isn't happening now, but I'll just kind of put it in the back of my mind and not really talk about it anymore, because I don't think it would really be worth discussing at that point, because we've kind of already said everything about it. I mean, Cold Castle getting destroyed, hope it gets replaced by something cool. It's pretty much all my thoughts on it. There's only so many times I can reiterate that, so if it doesn't happen next update, then I'm not gonna even discuss it anymore, because it's not worth it unless they start like hinting at it. But we'll see what happens. Watts says on YouTube, he says rather, I think it would be interesting if you discuss the possibility of more streamers / content creators icon skins coming with the announcement of the Booga skin. What creator do you think will get an icon skin? And here's another thing that I kind of already touched on at the start of this episode. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more streamers and content creators after this. This is definitely not going to be the last one. Booga is really cool, again, like I said earlier, and I think that the next one, not necessarily the next one, but one that I think will happen soon, is Cypher PK. I do really believe that he's going to get one eventually. Other than that, I don't really know of a whole lot of other content creators that would get one. Again, I'm not really well versed in the whole content creator scene when it comes to Fortnite. At least not when it comes to like all the big content creators that would be getting icon series skins. So I can't really talk much on that. But I will say that we are definitely going to be getting more, and I'm very excited to get more, and I'm very interested to see what those skins end up being. Fireboy, it's a go YT on YouTube asks, will there be a chapter 3 of Brim, or will both maps merge together? Now, I can't really say anything on that, but the one thing I will say is that we do have stuff planned after chapter 2. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. So, we have things planned after chapter 2. I can't tell you anything about what that is. And yeah, that's really all I can say. So, I apologize about that, but I really can't speak too much on that. Llama Man on YouTube asks, how do you get ideas for new seasons of Brim? Do you take inspiration from games or even real life? Now, for Brim seasons, it mostly happens. It takes a while. In chapter 1, it was weird because a lot of the seasons didn't really have a very clear theme. It kind of was in service of the storyline, so wherever the storyline was going, we kind of built a season around that, mostly with the logger and stuff. So for chapter 1, it was mostly like season 1 is kind of normal. Season 2, we kind of had a bit of a, like, we had the Floaty Funland theme, and not really much else. There wasn't a whole lot happening then. Season 3, I would say, like, the main theme was, like, the corruption, which was definitely inspired a bit by just... Can't really think specifically, but I think we had a few ideas of just this dark, evil energy just spreading and not being able to stop it. And there's definitely probably some inspiration behind that I can't necessarily think of at the moment. But it's not the most like creative thing. It's a bit tropey, I will say. But that's kind of what we had going. We already had Corrupt Core, which was a POI I built just because I liked the Kevin stuff and I wanted to. That's the only way I really knew how to build like decent terrain was with those pieces. So we kind of took that and we kind of turned it into something like an actual threat. And that was kind of the thing of that. And then we also had Pirate Party Land, which was disconnected. So season 3 was kind of a mess when it came to theme because you had that, and then you had the future stuff with the logger. But I think the main thing was like the logger trying to stop the corruption. And that was kind of just generic, I would say, a little bit. So I'm not really sure exactly where the inspiration for that came from. Season 4, of course, was very futuristic. Definitely inspired by Season 9 of actual Fortnite when it came to Pog City, but the whole war kind of theme, kind of a lot of like Battlefield vibes, Call of Duty kind of vibes with that too, with like the futuristic side of Pog City, kind of like Black Ops 3 vibes with that, I think, was kind of my look on it. And then a bit of like Portal inspiration when it came to that idea of them kind of having that whole society being built. I guess not really a society in Portal's case, but something similar. A lot of different aspects came together, and especially when you have so many different people working on the same thing, it's there. Everybody has their own ideas and interpretations of what the season is about and what it is, and they have their own ideas and kind of inspirations coming into the mix as well. Of course, you could also relate the whole war theme to a lot of things in American history as well. Just a lot of different inspirations coming from different people in the dev team, all having different ideas and different backgrounds of what these things like reminded them of or how they thought of these ideas. And then season 5, apocalyptic theme. I will say, just straight up with that season for me was just kind of came from my love of apocalyptic stories. Just taking something and just elevating it. I feel like an apocalypse or like an end of world scenario is the best way to raise the stakes in a story. And that kind of took direct inspiration for me from just like things like Mad Max and I guess Mad Max more post-apocalyptic, but Gravity Falls, like, I won't say anything to spoil it too much, but lots of Gravity Falls inspiration when it came to season 5 of chapter 1 with the whole kind of end of the world scenario. And then a good amount of Fortnite inspiration when it came to the whole 0 point idea, and then just everyone on the dev team kind of thinking of the best ways to kind of convey the idea of an apocalypse in Brim, and all I think all of our ideas came to that together pretty well there as well. Uh, and then when it came to chapter 2, again, season 1, not really insane theme, just kind of normal theme. Again, lots of inspiration from Fortnite, like season 1's. Very simple, very plain, but very colorful, very fun. And then season 2 definitely has a lot of inspiration from season 3 of Fortnite, but more importantly, when I kind of pitched the idea for that, for me, season 3 of, well, not season 3 of Fortnite, but season 2 of Brim is kind of a reflection of my perfect summer. Like, my perfect summer vacation spot. That's what season 2 of Brim is to me. So I think that kind of comes into more of the real life inspiration, because it's season 2, the whole like floating water park with all these food shops and surfing and swimming areas, like neighborhood pool and a really cool resort area, beaches, all that kind of stuff. It all encapsulates my idea of the perfect summer getaway. And that's was my main inspiration for that season, and that's why that's one of the more exciting ones for me. That was one of the more exciting ones for me to make, because that one feels a lot more personal to me, and I love summer. I love anything summer vibes, and just that was kind of the ultimate, like, this is everything I love about summer into Brim. And it just, I think it turned out really well. So that's kind of like the best example, in my opinion, of a personal thing bringing a lot of inspiration. And of course, I can't say anything about future seasons, but we've definitely kind of gotten better at keeping seasons thematic and having them each have a theme that also works with the continuation of the story. And we've all had different ideas. A lot of the ideas have been kind of changed and redone, but the core ideas are still there, at least for a majority of the seasons. And I'm excited. I'm very, very excited to continue releasing seasons, because chapter 2 definitely has a lot in store, and I'm very, very excited. So I hope you guys are too, and that kind of gives a bit of insight into how some of the ideas came to be. Again, a lot of people on the dev team kind of creates a scenario where a lot of people have different, like, inspirations for different things. It's not like we're all, like, subjected to the same life experiences or the same movies or shows or games. So, well, I may think of, like, say, season 5 as, like, I may take inspiration from Gravity Falls when it comes to that kind of theme. Another person on the dev team may take inspiration from something completely different, or whatever they think when they think of some apocalyptic theme. So that's I think that adds a lot of, like, complexity to it, a lot of depth, because it's not always just inspired by one thing. It's not always inspired by just one movie or one game or one life experience or one real life event. It's inspired by a culmination of a bunch of those, and we all take our inspirations and combine it into one signified simple theme, and that's how we expand off of it. And then we kind of apply our story and characters to that idea, and I think that's what makes it work really well. I think that's what makes the seasons feel a bit more unique, than, and of course it's very similar to how a lot of things are made. I'm sure Fortnite themselves takes inspiration from a whole ton of different areas when it comes to their seasons as well, and I think that's what makes everything. I think that's what makes Fortnite seasons and our seasons work really well, because they're a culmination of a bunch of different people's ideas on what that certain theme is. But when it comes to thinking of the very specific idea for the theme, it's usually just somebody pitching an idea, and we'll either go with it or we won't go with it, depending on what everybody thinks of the idea. A lot of just pitching ideas to see what sticks. A lot of trying different things and ending up like seeing which ideas have the most potential. And that's kind of how the main themes come along. And then everybody puts their own inspiration and twist into it when they're designing all the different locations and gameplay ideas. So I think that's pretty much. I hope that answers your question. Um, and yeah, I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of how Brim ideas are developed, and how we kind of come up with seasons. And yeah, I think we as a team have gotten better at it, especially with all the challenges that we faced in Chapter 2, with trying to come up with a good idea for how we want the seasons or like the whole chapter to go. Because we have gone through a lot of iterations and a lot of different ideas, a lot more than we did in Chapter 1. So it's been definitely more difficult to come up with a good idea for a season or a good idea for the storyline, but it's a lot more rewarding, and it turns out a lot better in the end. And yeah, again, just excited for the future, and I hope that answers your question. Hope that gives you a bit more insight onto how Brim Royale is not necessarily made, but just how the ideas are are how we come up with the ideas. It's gone to that part of the podcast where I'm struggling to speak. That's the thing. Every podcast episode we make it to like the 30-minute mark, and then I immediately just have trouble speaking, like I just did that. But anyway, Coolbra asks, what is the plot of Brim Royale Season 2? And then he also asks, what will Brim Royale Season 3 be about? Unfortunately, I can't say anything about Season 3, but for anybody who may be a bit confused on Season 2's plot so far, I will explain it a little bit. So, pretty much in the trailer, you see that a alien spaceship has crashed down into, like, by the mountain where the Theorist Shack was, and aliens emerge from it, that being the Slurp aliens, and we're gonna get a bit more into the Slurp aliens. You'll learn a bit more about them as time goes on. But pretty much they're here, and they're pretty friendly, honestly, and they show their appreciation by building us and helping us build some really cool water parks, because it is the summertime after all. So they helped build all the water parks. That's why you see all the Slurp signs around. Everything is sponsored by them, and they're just here to have fun. But it does seem like they are up to something by the old Theorist Shack over there. That shack has been completely demolished. It is gone, and they seem to be doing something by that mountain, so we'll just have to wait and see what that is. But in the meantime, not much is going on otherwise. The logger has been enjoying his summer vacation. He's been retired for quite a bit now. And that's kind of how it is at the moment. Aliens hanging out, everyone enjoying the summer vibes. DJ Yonder holding a concert at a random resort. Everything seems pretty chill right now, but it seems the aliens, or the Slurp aliens, might be doing something interesting, but we'll just have to wait and see what that is. And that's all I can really say right now, and that kind of embodies most of the Chapter 1 storyline, or Chapter 2 storyline. Of course, it is the first 2 seasons. We are taking it a bit slow, but things will pick up a bit more. But as it is right now, I think Chapter 2, we've kind of been trying to introduce more of the gameplay and just the map changes, trying to make the map better, and kind of Season 2 was a big, like, just not like a redesign or a rehaul, just kind of taking all the considerations, like all the critiques with the terrain and all that kind of stuff, and just improving the map, adding more to it, making it a bit more diverse, and of course turning it into the summer theme. So we've been focusing a bit more on the gameplay and the map design. The story is definitely starting to pick up, but like all kind of chapters, all BRs, it is going to start off pretty slow. So again, not a huge amount of stuff happening right now, but there's definitely stuff to be happening in the future. But yeah, it is nice to kind of start slow. I feel like Chapter 1 started pretty simple and picked up the pace, so expect us to kind of get to that point. I know it can be kind of jarring for for us to go from something so crazy to something a bit more simplistic, but that's kind of what we got to do, and that's kind of something I realized when we made chapter 2 and throughout like our experience with chapter 2 is that we went from chapter 1 being so it got really intense in the storyline, especially during those last few seasons. And to just dial it back is a nice breath of fresh air, but the storyline will definitely pick up, and I think a lot of people are kind of ready for us to kind of get back into telling some more crazy stories, and that is definitely going to be happening here. So I hope you guys are excited because I'm definitely excited. But we still got quite a bit left of season 2 to go, and I'm excited, especially because we just started our seasonal summer event. We've only done one seasonal event in the past, and that was the winter update for season 4, I think, of chapter 1. So season 2 is getting its entire summer update for chapter 2, and this is the next seasonal update. And we're going to be doing seasonal updates for Halloween and for Christmas again. We didn't do one for Easter, but that is something that I do want to touch on, hopefully next year around, and we'll see what happens with that, depending on where Brim is at that point in time. But I think that is about to be it for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Hopefully this was another enjoyable episode. I think this episode went a lot better than the last few episodes just because there was a lot more to talk about. And thank you guys so much for your amazing viewer questions. That definitely helps, makes the podcast a lot better. And I'm really glad that you guys are into the podcast and that you guys are asking all these questions because it really helps flesh out the podcast. Apologize if I didn't get to a lot of questions on the Discord. I didn't really see many questions on the Discord, but if there were a few, then I will be returning to them in the next episode. Of course, tomorrow's going to be update day, so if you guys want to see me cover all of the new leaked skins in the update, then I will be doing that in tomorrow's video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the Bendominator Podcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the update video. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.